got 6-year-olds that are building bombs out of MRE bags and throwing them at us.
Because they don't know any different.
They don't know any different. You got a kid, a 6-year-old in chemistry, building a bomb from a meal ready to eat bag and throwing it at us.
Go there! Boom!
And get help. Like, it's cool. Like, you know, as a cop or as a fire, like we were talking about the other day, like 2-3 weeks ago, there was a car wreck. 4-year-old girl died. And I was talking to the firefighters that actually had to, it's traumatic to pull a 4-year-old child out of a car, a mangled 4-year-old child's body, put that child in a body bag, zip it up, and then go continue on the rest of your 24-hour shift. That's hard because where's your decompression at? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is your decompression? And most of us, our decompression is alcohol. You know, we get drunk. We think it makes us feel better. So it's like, at what point do you say, okay, at the end of this 24-hour shift, you know, I need to go talk with my therapist because they'll tell me better things to do rather than chug a full bottle of alcohol at nighttime. So it's just a lot. It's, you know, nobody wants to go get help because they're afraid of the backlash. They're afraid of chain of command. They're afraid of what their friends will think. But at the end of the day, like, my journey, I've had more people support me than I ever even imagined. I thought right off the bat, like, you're going to get fired. You know, here you are, you're a gun and gang detective, you're on a SWAT team. You go and you deal with these barricaded subjects where people are losing their mind because of mental illness. You're dealing with these guys. Like July 5th, we had a contractor, ex-military guy, lost his mind. PTSD, cop showed up, regular cop showed up, he took his family hostage. He's got fighting positions in all the windows of the houses. First cop shows up, he shoots, dumps a whole mag into his car. Cops pull up down the street. He pulls out a long gun with a long scope, shoots up 3 cars right off the bat. Boom, 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 boom. And then we get called. So here I am. Just went through the same thing and got help that this guy's going through. But now I might have to go in a house and deal with this guy. Like, when at the end of the day, if somebody would have been like, yo, dude, it's cool, go get help. You know, the Ambien that you're taking, the Percocets that you're taking, then you're mixing it with alcohol, go get help, because people need to know that the VA, the military, their way for you to feel better is to make you feel numb. Okay, well, we're going to give you something at nighttime to fucking just racks you the fuck out, and you don't even know what you're going to do. But during the day, we're also going to give you Percocets because that's going to numb you through the day. But at nighttime at 9 o'clock, take this Ambien. So not only do they make you a zombie during the day, but they force you to sleep at nighttime. So when can you go get help? You can't get help if you feel numb.
And it's just so they don't have to deal with it, right?
Just so they don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
And it's, you know, I remember doing my stuff and going through my stuff. You're talking 17 prescription medicines. You know, hey man, here's there's 30 days in a month, 2 Percocets a day. Here's 60 Percocets. Okay, so I can only give you that. Okay, but if you need more, here's 20 oxycodones. Okay, but you know what? We're going to give you a couple extra Ambiens in case one wears off in a couple hours. So let's give you 60 Ambiens. Like, why do I need all that? You know, why do I need 80 Percocets and oxycodones? I never took them. She would never let me take them. We put them in a bag. We got rid of them. We dropped them off. I have a bag though that I keep in my cabinet. It's this big. It's this long and about this wide, and it's full of narcotics. And I look at that. If I got to get something, I look at that and say, that's your reminder. You know, you don't need that. People don't need that. You know, you need to get the word out there that it's a reminder to me. It keeps a fire going in me that that's still happening. Not only is that happening, but it's happening. It gets worse and worse and worse.
Well, especially when those 16 prescriptions don't work. Then it's like, well, let's add on another 15.
It was crazy. Like they were giving me like injectables and like just a list. Like, dude, I had to do a checklist just to make sure I had all my drugs. Like, and it's, and then, you know, you got people in your chain of command in the military that, you know, so bam, you know, 17 prescriptions. Then I got people in my chain of command like, man, why you eat all those? Why don't you just drink a little whiskey? Men drink whiskey.
So that's the alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens when you have, you know, this soldier addicted to all this stuff. Now your chain of command is telling you be a man and just drink Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
So now you're mixing whiskey with Jack Daniels. I mean, with all the drugs. Like, when is enough enough? When is it time for somebody to come out and be like, yo, don't listen to them.
Yeah.
You know, what you need is to go get help, to talk to a therapist. I'm not saying like to go in there and be like, you know, oh, I'm gonna put a gun on my head. I'm gonna blast my brains out, and I'm gonna kill a bunch of people. No, that's not what you need to do. That's not what I'm saying you need. I'm saying you need to go there and be like, hey, look, what I went through on deployment bothers me. It keeps me up at nighttime. What are things that I can do? Because I had survivor's guilt real bad.
Yeah.
And I bottled that up for 5 years. So it got to the point to where I was done fighting it. I was at a dark place, and I needed to do one thing. And the one thing that I needed to do, and I never would even have known, was I needed to jump on an airplane. I needed to fly to San Diego by myself. I needed to go to a gravesite and tell a friend that was killed and I couldn't help that I was sorry. And once I did that, I got on a plane the next day. I left 2 days early because I felt okay. I instantly felt better.
Yeah.
I went to the grave. I cried. I said I was sorry. I said, you know, I wish I could have been there for you. I wish I could have gave blood. I remember when you died, but I wasn't there. And it was like, okay, everything's fine. You know, it was like him telling me, hey, don't worry about it.
Like, don't hold on to it anymore.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I talked to his sister online, and you know, they told me, hey, you know, don't feel bad. You're crazy for feeling bad. I'm a believer that, hey, you know, the dude went through 6 deployments. You know, he could. His sister was like, he could have died at any deployment. Like, so it's just like, but
you had to take care of it yourself.
Yeah, I had to take care of myself. So, you know, and the therapist was like, hey, this is kind of easy. All you need to do is go out there, and you already know what you need to do.
Yeah. You
just need to jump on a plane and go out there and do it. And it's just like, by hearing that, I only went to one appointment. Just by him confirming what I needed and talking to him for an hour changed my whole life.
Get rid of 16 prescriptions and everything else. Yeah.
It's just like, so people just need to know that, you know, there's a difference between a psychiatrist and a therapist. You know, I went to a bibliological therapist, and it was great. I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
It changed my life. It saved my life. So people need to know that it's just okay to go get help. Like, you're not less of a man. I'm not a less of a man. I mean, yeah, I'm still the same me. I'm still, you know, if I needed to do what I needed to do in any situation, I can do that. I'm not weak.
Yeah.
I got stronger
because of it.
So I'm twice the man that you ever even knew before.
Yeah.
So
let's do this thing. We got deep already.
Sorry, man.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. So I mean, we got it. You're good.
Talking, man.
No, you're good. You can pull it a little closer if you want. So I just know you're good.
I guess it's a very.
I love it because it leads into and so just so you know, I was recording all that, which is great. But I obviously, you know, because we're doing the podcast, we're also filming some other stuff. I just want to give people kind of some background now.
Yeah.
So, you know, so Blake Cook.
Yep.
AKA Blackbeard.
Yep, that's me.
Why don't you introduce yourself and let's all walk through, you know, I mean, dude, say what you want, go the direction you want to go. But I'm kind of curious because I know your story, and obviously we've been trying to get this together for a while. And I'm stoked you're here because we finally met after talking on the phone for a while. But I kind of want to get the background for the audience so they have an idea of who you are, what you're about, and then we'll kind of go into, you know, why that's important.
Cool. My name is Blake Cook. I joined the military in 2009. I'm 30 years old. I was stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina with the 82nd Airborne. Um, I was I got stationed there, and I was there for about 7, 8 months. Got orders to deploy to Afghanistan in 2012.
So what made you join the service in the first place?
I'd like to sit here and tell you that I've always wanted to be a freedom fighter and all that other stuff, but um, where I'm from, I was the college football guy. I played college football. I was really good in high school, and I went to college, and I just couldn't maintain it. I was partying and everything like that. Kind of got the best on me. So um, ended up quitting school, and my mom was like, "Yeah, you ain't laying around my house. You got to do something." So I was playing Call of Duty one day, and she called me up and was like, "Hey, you got till 5 o'clock to get a job." And I said, "Okay, cool." And at 4 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock, she called. She's like, "You got one?" I was like, "No. Yeah, I got an idea." She's like, "All right, cool, we'll go apply." She came back home at like 5:30, and I was like, "Yeah, I joined the Army." So it was always an interest in me, and I always had it in the back of my mind because I remember I was in the 6th grade when 9/11 happened, and I remember being terrified, because everybody in my little hometown was worried about West Virginia. There's a major gas field that if somebody wanted to cause major damage, blowing that up would blow up half the state. It was major. So as a child, my son's 11 in the 6th grade. So as an 11 and 12-year-old, that was scary. And I remember, why not go fight them dudes? We're still at war with them. Why not? And and I'm still a boy. Like, I was still immature. I had no direction in life. I love to, like I tell people all the time, I love to sit here and be like, all I ever wanted to do was be in the Army. No, I wanted to get out of my hometown.
It was the option.
Yeah. It was the option. It was it. So I remember going there. I tried to get a bunch of stuff in my contract, and the dude was like, "Hey, we don't have no options for you." So I went to basic, and ended up getting an airborne contract, which was really cool. And then I stayed there and did airborne school at Fort Benning. So, and I'm terrified of heights. It was a very, very scary experience for me. I'll never forget my first jump. I thought I planned it out right to be in the back of the line to where I could just follow behind 7 other dudes and jump right out. But I didn't know that if you're in the back of the line, you're in the back of the airplane with the door. So I ended up being the first one to jump out. And the airborne instructor, literally, I remember looking out and my knees shaking and turning around with tears, asking this dude, I don't even know if my parachute's going to open. And I remember him looking at me, laughing and screaming green light, and literally kicking me out of the airplane. And that was my first experience. So,
was that you when you're tied up? And
yep,
so when you
tied
jump out,
up, man.
that thing just goes.
I jumped out, didn't jump out like any way they taught me. I was
Yeah.
like sideways, and it was a very scary experience, but it was cool. Like, it was when I did that and I landed, I realized that I had found my purpose.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do.
Yeah. That's
which
awesome.
was cool.
So what year was this?
That was in 2000. That was in 2010, 2011.
Okay. And then how long before you get deployed?
About a year and a couple months later.
Did you feel ready, or were you?
No.
Nah.
No.
Is anyone?
No. Nobody feels ready because you don't know what to expect, because Americans live in a bubble. We live in a bubble of safety. We live in a bubble of we can do what we want to. We live in a bubble that we can go get food wherever we want to. We can get ice, and we can. And I say ice because I didn't have ice for months, and it was terrible. You drink hot water, like you live in this bubble of freedom, and you can do what you want to. You can say what you want to, but once you get to a third world country, you speak wrong to the wrong person, you lose your tongue.
Yeah.
you snitch on the Taliban, you lose your head. So here that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just different. It was a different culture. Nobody's ready for that. You're not ready for the things that you see over there. And how do you? There's no way you can't prep yourself for that.
Yeah.
At all.
So year and a half in, you get out. Where'd you get deployed to?
Afghanistan, Ghazni Province. So
Okay.
it was it was so bad there. And it was such a war zone where we were at that they still thought we were the Russians from the 90s.
There's no communication.
No communication at all.
Gotcha.
They had no idea. Because they're just so used to it. They're
Yeah.
just so used to people dying and getting killed and the Taliban ruling everything. So they just had no idea.
What was your guys' mission when you were there? What was the ultimate goal for your unit?
I would say at that point, anybody that was deploying we were kind of at the borderline of Afghanistan and Pakistan. So I think at that time, everybody's mission was basically trying to locate, I think his name was Bergdahl, the prisoner of war that I think ended up just running off on his own. So I think everybody's mission at that time was to find him.
Was it a rescue mission, or was it to like keep him from releasing secrets and
No, I think
locations?
everybody was just trying to find him and rescue him. I heard talk that it was everybody was close. They kept moving him all the time and stuff like that. So it wasn't really it was more of a rescue mission because at that time people legitimately thought that he was taken. Nobody at that point had any idea that he got up and left the base on his own. And there's a lot to that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. So all the resources and everything just to find this guy.
Yeah,
right?
just to find this guy. Everybody was kind of doing the same mission, and at the same time, you're trying to do that, but the politics are telling you to build a relationship and be the soft, gentle army, and essentially what you're trying to do at that point of the war, because it was late. It's 2012. We've been at war for half my life. It's trying to help the Afghan army and the Afghan police to try to be in control of their own country, but it's hard because those dudes are so corrupt.
Yeah.
I remember while we were there, it was a very, very tight tension because a guy not far from us was training some A&A, some Afghan National Army guys, and the Afghan National Army dude picked up the saw machine gun and shot a dude from his toes all the way to his head, which was crazy because after I got hurt and a few years down the road, I ended up at the War Transition Battalion. I got to meet that guy and hear his story, so it was really cool. But the tension's high because you can't trust them.
Yeah.
Because
but you guys are sent there to train them, but
we're sent there to train them. But at the end of the day, why the fuck are you gonna listen to me? Because I'm leaving.
Yeah.
You don't know when I'm leaving. I can't be here to protect you. The Taliban's going to be there, and they are vicious.
Yeah.
So why would you trust me? Why would you join I wouldn't join my side.
Yeah.
If they're going to kill my family, I wouldn't trust Americans. It's just how it is. It's a culture. It's all they know, and we don't need to be there.
Yeah.
And that's my opinion.
Yeah.
It's a country that's been at war since it's ever been a country. So that's all they know. You got kids that are you got 6-year-olds that are building bombs out of MRE bags and throwing them at us.
Because they don't know any different.
They don't know any different. You got a kid, a 6-year-old in chemistry, building a bomb from a meal ready to eat bag and throwing it at us. That's all they know. How are you going to win this war?
Yeah.
They got 6-year-olds ready to go. So it's just crazy. You can't prepare yourself as a 18-year-old kid or 19, 20, 21 to go to a country that's all they know is war and all you know is Call of Duty. That's it. What you see on a video game is not war, and that's what people fail to understand.
Yeah. How long were you there?
I was there for about 7 months.
Okay. And then through that 7 months, is that when the accident happened?
So we got there in February and May the 24th, 2012. We got spun up on QRF, which is a quick reaction force, for another team that was being in an ambush and in a really bad firefight. So we got spun up at 11, 12 o'clock at nighttime to go help them out. And we were terrible planning. Ended up putting us on a black road, which wasn't cleared for IEDs for 2 weeks. So we went down that road, and an IED went off in between my vehicle and the vehicle in front of us. It caused a lot of more damage on the vehicle that was in front of us, but the back blast and the pressure forced me back, which ended up breaking my back plate.
So where were you
I was
at
in
on
the
that?
I was in the gunner turret, so I was exposed to everything. So that force pushed me back so hard that when my back hit the ring of the gunner turret, it split that in half and hit my spine. And then part of the other blast sucked me in, and I went forward and smashed the whole left side of my, like, I have no feeling on this side of my face. You can pinch it, you can stab it, you can do whatever, but you can kind of tell where my nose is crooked, that it broke all this. And that was because I hit the gun. We had a 240 Bravo machine gun, a real big machine gun, and my face smacked the stock of that. And then I woke up, face was bleeding, and I was already on a backboard. They had already strapped me to a backboard, and was calling in a 9-line medevac.
So who came in to get you another unit from?
So they ended up having to seize everything and run Apaches over them all night. So finally they got a Black Hawk in. They got Apache spun up. A Black Hawk ended up landing and getting me and 2 other guys out of there because they wanted to get me back to the little medical shack that we had. So, but everybody, so another QRF had to come out. They got overran. So big chain of command said, hey, everybody fucking hold what you got. We're going to run Apaches over everybody. And if there's any heat signal coming towards y'all, they getting blasted. So we had, this group was overrun. As I'm on a backboard, I remember sitting there listening. I'll never forget it. And some came over the radio that there was possibly an 80 man element moving towards us. So here I am, strapped on a backboard, scared to death anyways as a 21-year-old kid, 22-year-old kid, and hearing, not really, because, something was going on with my legs. I couldn't really feel my legs. They were they were numb. It was really weird. I was terrified, and I'm strapped, like I'm completely strapped to a board, and hearing that there's a possible 80 man element moving towards you, like, okay, so what happens if they kill everybody in my unit? Now I'm strapped to a board. They're going to take me and they're going to torture the shit out of me. And I'm just a little E4. I don't know shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? But they don't know that. They don't know what I know. So luckily we were able to get Apaches over us. They were getting me into a bird. And on our fob, they put me in like this little wooden medical facility where everybody came. And I spent, that was probably the worst time of my whole injury. Because that's where anybody that got shot, anybody that got severely hurt was brought there. And it was one room with 3 beds. And I'm off over in the corner on a bed because it was a red zone, sand. They couldn't get no choppers there for 3 days to evacuate me to Bagram Air Force Base. And the reason why they didn't do it then, because they didn't know the severity of my injury, so they went ahead and, we was only like 2 miles from the FOB, so they went ahead and got us there. But once I got there, a sandstorm came and they couldn't fly me back out. So I was there for 3 days. I remember laying in that room, and I don't really talk about this much because this really bothered me a lot. You would hear people that got shot, and you would hear people that came in, and you're laying on a backboard, and you hear these people coming in screaming in agonizing pain, whether it be American soldiers or whether it be civilians that got injured in gunfights or whether it be A&A. And then, like, every day it was multiple people just coming in there and dying. So you're just laying there and you're hearing these people die, and then doctors leave, and you got one person in a room with you, and you look over and it's just fucking dead bodies, just blood everywhere. So it's just like, and then you're stuck there, and then you got people dropping mortars on the fob. So what they would do is they'd come over and just throw vests on me. Like, wait, like, don't even do this. Like, it's not gonna save my life. A mortar hits the building, it's gonna kill me. Like, don't put vests. And they would be like, yeah, we got to. So that was probably the hardest time of my whole injury, was sitting in that shack.
How long were you there?
I was there for 3 days. Luckily, one guy was able to actually let me call her, my mom, because the FRG, overstepped their boundaries and called my family and told them that I was possibly dead. Like, so finally I was able to call her and my mom and get information to them that I was okay. I didn't really tell them the severity of my injuries because, why would you even do that in the first place? So I was there for about 3 days, and they finally got us out of there, and they got me to a hospital in Bagram. And I spent about a month and a half, maybe even 2 months there. I know I went there for a month and a half or a month. I started getting the feelings a little bit better in my legs. I was able to kind of walk around a little bit. My headaches and migraines were fucking severe. But I felt so bad. I felt like a shitbag because being in the infantry, if you get hurt, like, you're considered a shitbag. Like, you can't help that you're hurt. So all I ever knew for like the year that I've been in is, if you're hurt, you're a shitbag. You got to get back with your guys. So, telling doctors, hey, look, everything's fine. I'm fine. Everything's okay. So they get me back on a bird and get me back over with the rest of my platoon. And then shit just was getting really bad. The headaches were getting bad. I would go to get up out my bed. I couldn't really feel my legs. So finally I went back to the med station. I was like, hey, look, something's really wrong with me.
You were able to walk at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to go get help. And then, they blew it off, and they sent me back. And then the doctors there were like, oh, you said you were fine, so, we're sending you right back. So finally ended up finishing my whole deployment. It was miserable. Like, the whole time it was like this, I had this weird numbing feeling. My headaches were bad. I was having nosebleeds. So finally, fast forward a little bit, we got home in September. When I got home, we did a pre-screening, and I had a nosebleed in the medical station. And they were like, what's wrong? I said, look, I got blown up. I said, I got a lot going on. I said, I got some problems with my legs. It's scaring me. I'm having a hard time even running. I can't even run. They were like, well, cool, let's get you checked out. So I went and got checked out. They sent me straight to Walmack Army Medical Center to the ER, did some MRIs and stuff. And they were like, look, dude, you got swelling in your brain. Your spine's messed up. Probably what's causing the numbness in your legs. You gotta do rehab. And at this point I had like speech problems. I was stuttering real bad. So they ended up putting me and 6 other dudes in what was called, at that time, was the TBI pipeline. They didn't know how to deal with TBI. Soldiers were killing themselves because of it. And I can imagine like what I was going through. Like, I felt like I couldn't do anything. Like, so I literally had to start off by walking again on a machine with holding me up, walking until I couldn't walk no more. So, I literally had to crawl, walk, run. I did 3 appointments a day, 5 days a week for 2 years. Speech therapy, memory therapy, and physical therapy. And it was painful. It sucked. It was too long. It was 2 of the longest years of my life.
You stayed in the hospital, you just show up every day?
So I had to go every day.
Okay.
Whether she took me and dropped me off, teammates took me and dropped me off, somebody took me and dropped me off. Some good days I could drive when my head wasn't too bad. So it was very shitty. I had to do pool therapy and just, it took a long time before, like, I could, like, if my legs got numb, they would get numb out of nowhere. I could pinch my legs and feel nothing. And what it ended up being is my brain was having a problem. Like, I had to see a world-renowned brain doctor, which was, you remember his name? They flew in from Texas like once a month just for me. He's wrote books.
Because at the time they thought you broke your back, right?
No. So I had severe nerve damage in my back, And later the answers that I got is I didn't know this. Your nerves can heal themselves. It can take a few months. It could take a week, or it could take years. But eventually they'll end up healing yourself. But my body and my brain wasn't communicating at all. Something with my brain, I had so much pressure in my brain that my body just wasn't communicating. There were times where they had to stick needles in my head. This doctor would stick needles in my head just to release pressure, and which is crazy because I've only seen it on TV. But it was a rough therapy. You know, she wrote it the whole way with me. It was just it was a rough couple of years, but if you stick with the program and you don't quit, you just believe in yourself and you believe in what people, you just believe in that people will help you, you'll get better.
Yeah. So what happened? What happened with the rest of the guys that got hit in that in the line you were in?
So most of them were inside the vehicle. A lot of them just had like, I would say like, not really like head injuries, but they like, I guess once the IED went off, it shook the vehicle, so they would hit their arm or they hit their legs or something fell on them. So being inside those trucks really help you out a lot. Those trucks are very well built, and they're very well built to withstand such a blast. Even like the vehicle that was in front of me, like it was shredded, but nobody really even got hurt. It was just the fact that I was outside of the turret. I was exposed to just the pure force of the blast. From what I heard, it was estimated to be about 500 pounds was the size of the IED, which is pretty massive.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of pressure that my head took. So
You took the worst of it.
I took the worst of it. I was exposed to it. My hearing sucks because I had my headset off, trying to listen to talk to somebody else that was below me. I just couldn't hear. So I took a lot of that pressure went inside my ears, and I got damaged eardrums, and I mean I just got a lot going on.
So it hit. You don't remember anything of it, just waking up on.
I just remember waking up on a board.
Yep.
That's it. That's all I remember. There were hammers and sledgehammers found where I was at that could have hit me too. There was all kinds of debris that was up where I was at from the vehicle. There were big steel metal parts that was found in my gunner turret. So I just remember boom, going back, and then as I was coming forward, everything just went black.
Yeah.
So, and that's really all I remember. I remember waking up. They said I was out for 10 minutes. And I remember waking up on a board and in just complete chaos.
It's crazy, man. So then fast forward, rehab for 2 years.
Yeah, so I think it was anywhere between 2 years, 24 months, from September 2012 to September 2014.
Would you say in that time you experienced PTSD or?
Yeah, I think.
Or was getting better kind of keeping you from?
I think it took my mind off of it. I think I didn't really, because I had to go talk to part of the pipeline, because I ended up having to go to the Warrior Transition Battalion with people that were like critically injured. That's where you go so you can go to your appointments and get the help that you need. I think going through those appointments, you didn't really think about like psychological. You were so focused on, and even when I get worked up now, like I'll stutter real bad, but like even then I was stuttering, and it was like the migraines, everything, the physical pain took away my mental pain. But once my physical pain went away when I got out, because what's even crazier is in the summer of on my birthday, I'm almost a year into getting help and getting better. Some soldier on Fort Bragg stopped right in front of me, and I hit him at 70 miles an hour and hit my head off the steering wheel. Boom, there's another brain injury. So that just took me back. So I just had so much physical injury within 2 year span that I didn't even focus on mental. I didn't even, I didn't even really think that I didn't even think that I'd even have PTSD. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you don't even focus on that. It's like the migraines are so bad. They're doping you up on medicine. Physical therapy was awful. Like, it sucked. Like, people don't understand. Like, physical therapy is not fun. Like, they push you till you hit pain. And then they push you a little bit further to get you past that. So, like, even like speech therapy and stuff like that, it's frustrating. It's not fun. So I never even had time to think about being mentally fucked. It was the physical that was just wearing me out daily.
Once you were able to get the physical down, did the mental set in right away, or did you go back to work? What was?
No, so I got out. So in September of 2014, I was released from the pipeline and started my ETS leave. And nobody helped me out. They literally pushed me out. Hey, you're better. Your ETS starts today.
What's ETS stand for?
Something time of service. It's like it's so you have a set date of when you get out.
Yep.
That's your ETS date. That's your exit time of service. I don't know, but you get, so like if you don't use any of your leave throughout your military career, you can take 6 months off, whatever. I had 60 days built up. So my ETS was in May 14th, 2014. Not September, but April. No. What's before? January, February? March. Sorry. March, I started my ETS. So in March of 2014, I got out. And they were like, hey, your ETS starts. Congratulations. Go get your DD 214, which is your paperwork that says that you've exited the Army. Have a good life. Good luck on everything. That's what they do. So I sat around and I had one more paycheck, and then I was like, damn, I told her, what am I going to do? Like, damn, I got to go let's go to the police department. Like, 'cause I don't know what else to do. Like, I'm in the infantry. All I know is grunt shit. Like, I know how to I know how to do gun stuff. Like, that's it. Like, I don't know how to do anything else. I left as a boy, came back as a man, and this is all I know. So I became a cop. And then once I became a cop, and seeing more difficult stuff is when things really started. I started really hitting that mental block, and I started really realizing that, your friend was killed a few years after. This guy that you looked up to was like, he was my squad leader. He took care of you. He was like a big brother to you. Like, out of all my leadership ever, he was the best. Like, he took care of you. Anything I ever needed, he took care of. And then I started thinking, like, dude, this dude went through 6 deployments, all to Afghanistan, and of the worst times. And here he is. He died. And, like, why are you living? Like, why did you survive?
At what point did he die?
He died of, I think it's, June the 15th of 2012. I got blown up on May the 24th of 2012. And I was in Bagram when he died. So, like, why the fuck didn't you die? You got this real war hero that deployed 6 times, and he'd only been in for like 9 years. So out of 8 years, he's deployed 6 years, and like, he died, and you didn't die. Like, that's like, this dude took care of you, and like what did you do? You were in a hospital feeling sorry for yourself. And that shit hit home. That shit hit home for 5 years. I bottled it up. I drank a lot. Every morning you wake up and put a smile on your face. Everybody around me laughed because of me. To this day, I make everybody laugh. I don't know. It's like my personality, whatever. But as everybody else is laughing, I'm hurting. And nobody knows that until I get home and I can drink. Or I can go to the gym and then come home and drink. So, it's a different world.
When did you start going to the VA for any kind of help?
So I never went to the VA for help. I always had heard horror stories of the VA. People killing themselves inside the VA. People telling me the VA don't want to help you. So that's what really fucking sucked, is like, I got out how am I supposed to go to a civilian doctor and tell them what I've been through? I can't go to the VA because I don't want to be put on any more prescriptions. I don't want to be told that I'm fucking crazy. And a civilian doctor is going to look at me like, yo, this fucking dude is crazy. He can't relate what I've been through. Why would I go to him for help? You go to the VA is going to dope you up. And they're going to tell you, they're going to put your ass in the psych unit. Period. And then eventually you're going to end up killing yourself. And that's what happens. That's why suicide is so fucking high, because the VA don't want to help nobody. They want to put people on medicine and allow them to drink, or tell them they're going to go to a psychiatrist. And then the psychiatrist is going to take away all their guns. Like, they don't want that. So, like, I never went to the VA for help. I don't go to the VA now for help. I go to private doctors. I use my insurance through the police department to go get help, because I will not step foot in the VA for anything. I don't even have a veterans card. I have my disabled card from the Soldier Support Center on Bragg, because I refuse to go in the VA. And it sucks for the people that's all they have.
And that's all they think the only option is.
That's all they think, because they think that the doctors there will relate to them, but they don't. They just end up for a paycheck, because that's what doctors do. They dope you up. However much Percocets they put out, how much more money they get. It's a game. And I'm not going to play it. I'd rather just sit at the house and drink.
So how long did that go on for?
That went on for 5 years.
And then what was the culmination of that 5 years?
So, Thanksgiving of 2000, what are we in, 2018 is when it really hit me. Me and my brother went to visit my dad. We knew that my dad had a great life. He was a school teacher. You know, he was a good dad growing up and stuff like that. But like, the older we got, we found out that he was on pills, and we went and visited him one day, and it was like right after Thanksgiving. It was that weekend, and my brother wanted to kind of confront him, like, why won't you go get help? What are you doing? And then to see him high, when we got there, he was high. He tried to fight my brother. And then we left, and we went back to my mom's house. And I sat and drank till 3 in the morning on my mom's counter, a whole bottle of Jack Daniels. And that's when it really brought out my own demons. That's when it really hit me hard. You know, here you are, you didn't help your friend out, and now you can't even help your dad out, and you can't even help your fucking self out. Here you are drinking at 3 in the morning, you can't even help yourself out. You're fucking worthless. And that's when it got worse. That's when it got to the point to it was really, really, really bad.
What'd you do after that?
New Year's Eve, ball dropped. She had surgery that day. She was in the bed. I drank 2 bottles of Jack Daniels, and realized that I had enough. I was tired of fighting for myself. I was tired of trying to fight for other people. I was just fucking tired. I was fucking tired. I was tired of painting a fucking, sorry for the cussing. I was tired of waking up every morning and painting a fucking smile on my face. Why not just easy fix? Drink a couple bottles and put a gun to your head, and that's what I did. And I remember sitting there, and I put a gun in my head. I was fucked up. I was drunk. And house was dark. Everything was dark. Dogs were asleep. Our son was with his grandfather. She was in the bed. You know, like I said, she had just had a surgery, so she was on anesthesia still, so she was racked out. And I remember sitting there with that gun in my head, and I heard a very demonic laugh. Everything was real cold. Everything was in real slow motion, and it was I remember hearing that. I've never heard it before in my life, but it was like a and I felt, wow, you just let whether another male figure, whether it be Satan, whether it be an evil spirit, you just let another fucking person control what you do, and you're supposed to be a type A alpha male, and here you are looking stupid. And I put the gun down. I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried, and I went to bed. Told her about it the next day, and I went and got help, and that changed my life. And let me get my phone. I'll read you a quote that I had. I found this quote the next day. Obviously, if you follow my Instagram, you see that I post quotes daily. I have a bunch of quote apps, and I found this quote, and I couldn't have found it at a better time. It says, "My scars tell a story. They are a reminder of times when life tried to break me but failed. They are the markings of the structure that my character was welded." And I found that the next day, and I realized that life really tried to break me that last night. And I fell to my knees, and I cried, and I thanked God. And I vowed to go get help, and I vowed to make sure that I can, even if it's one person, I'm going to try to help the world, because suicide is an epidemic. And it's not an epidemic because people just want to kill themselves. It's an epidemic because people are scared to get help. And it's no different than anything else. It's no different than having a fucking common cold and going to the doctor and getting help. It's the same thing. It happens. If you go through life, everybody in this world goes through something traumatic. Everybody. Everybody suffers from some type of PTSD, period. And if you say you don't, you're a liar. Everybody handles it in a different way. Some people's just go through a lot more worse stuff to where it really affects them, and they go to drinking and they go to suicide. Not people don't actually want to fucking kill themselves. They feel like it's the only option that they have. It's a dark place. That was a very dark place at the bottom of the fucking, I call it the barrel, the bottom of the barrel. It was a very dark place for me, and it was the only way out, because waking up every single day and living with the guilt and trying to make other people and trying to hide it from other people, I'm telling you, it's exhausting. I felt like a criminal with murder warrants, running from the cops every day. That's what it felt like. It felt like trying to hide it was exhausting.
And that was holding on to the fact that your buddy died.
Yeah. So what I did is I went and got the help and flew out to San Diego, did my thing, came back 2 days early. I'm not going to sit there and tell you everything was butterflies and ice cream and stuff when I got back. It wasn't great. It took some time. But I got better. And here I am. I'm trying to help everybody. And I'm telling you now, I'm going to help everybody however I can. And I'm as of right now, I've used social media as a platform, and I'm very successful. I got people every day that will message me and be like, "Hey man, I'm feeling like this. Thanks for being the voice. I read your post, I read your quote, I read what you were going through, and it's really helped me out." And I tell people, hey, if you're sitting around and you're depressed and you're feeling like, man, and life is just giving you some bad cards, and you're cracking that bottle of alcohol, you're cracking those beer cans, that's not the answer. If it's, go run, go to the gym, take that. It's aggression is what it is. It's anger. What you feel inside of you is anger, and you're just trying to numb it by getting drunk. Go to the gym, go get help, go do something you like. Me, I picked up photography. If my mind's constantly going. It's constantly thinking. Whether it's my mind is my worst enemy, so I have to keep my mind going. So I'll take all that and I put it towards photography, and for me, that's worked out for me. So that's what I use.
So you're on SWAT right now in Fayetteville.
I am. I'm on a SWAT team, and I'm on a gang unit.
And so we've had a couple calls, and I remember one, we were talking, and you're like, I forget what we were even talking about, but you're like, "Hey man, I gotta go. I just got a call. Some guy's got a long gun." And you were heading to a house, I think.
Yep.
So daily, are you getting phone calls because people know you're the go-to guy, or because you've put yourself out there so much?
So with our team, we're a part-time team, but on a full-time status. So we all have other jobs within the police department. Some are on narcotics, some are on gangs, some are property detectives, some are road officers, and everybody's got our city cell phone. We have a cell phone. I call it the bat phone. And when two teams, it's team one, team two. Every other week we're on call, but most of the time when something crazy comes out, we all want a little piece of the action. So we all respond. So when that phone goes off, you answer it. It could get crazy, and it could be every day, or it could be once a month. But when it calls, you answer, and it's because we are that last resort. There's 20 of us on the team now, and we're that last resort. When that guy is with a long gun in a house with a plate carrier on, losing his mind, we're that last resort. Or when that boyfriend's got that gun to his girlfriend's head and he ain't going back to jail, he ain't going back to prison, we're that call. So you always got to be ready.
So, and why Fayetteville? You explained it to me, but why is it such an extreme crime area?
I don't know. I can't really get into that.
Okay.
I wish I could, but
You're good. You're good.
But I could tell you. Well, I mean, yeah, like, so there's a lot of drugs in Fayetteville. Fayetteville's got a lot of drugs, and it's because of I-95. I-95 runs from Miami to New York, and unfortunately, Fayetteville's the halfway point. So there's a lot of drugs that come in and out of Fayetteville, and I hate to tell it, and people are like, oh, yeah, it's just weed, it's just cocaine. But yeah, okay, cool. But there's a lot of violence to that. Why is there violence to weed and cocaine? It's because there's large amounts of money that's tied to that. Yeah. I mean, drug dealers, I know drug dealers right now with $250,000 in cash in their house. It's nothing. It's nothing to them. It's nothing for me to go take $100,000. Why? Because they making $100,000 that day. So it's just the crime comes with that. So there's a lot of drugs in Fayetteville. There's a lot of drugs in Fayetteville. Fayetteville's a beautiful city, though. It's a great city. It's a good military community. It's not a bad place to raise a family, but unfortunately, drugs is everything.
And then dealing with that day to day, do you ever feel yourself sinking back in to any kind of darker place?
No. I think I used to. I think that I'd go deal with stuff, and it would just be like, fuck, man, like this is just helping other people's demons will bring your demons out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've read a lot of stuff. It's everything I read that if you're trying to help somebody, you need to make sure that your stuff is squared away, because if not, it will affect you and your own problems. So before I got help, yeah. Now that I think that's another problem with suicide, with even in law enforcement, is, guys, you got to go get help. Like, you can't keep seeing this shit for years. Like, you can't see. I remember a call of a 12-year-old boy that hung himself. Like, you can't keep seeing this. Like, because you got to, as law enforcement or firefighters, you got to go see this shit. Okay, I might have to go deal with this 12-year-old that hung himself. But then the next call, I got to go deal with somebody that wants to complain about a dog barking too loud. Okay, so at the end of your work week, why not go see a therapist? Hey, this bothered me. Why not?
Yeah,
I don't understand. And I do understand, because I will tell you this: surprisingly, my chain of command is very supportive. They're very supportive in my journey, and I appreciate that, because at the end of the day, if you don't support me in this journey, I don't need this job. I'm going to help people. It needs to be talked about. My journey and what I went through needs to be talked about, because it will help people. You can back me up, or I can leave. To me, it's whatever. I can go get a DOD job, or I can live off my disability. I'll be okay. It's fine. But I'm going to help people. Jump on the train with me and help people, or ride a separate train.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm going to be okay. And a lot of people's chain of command, especially in the Army, if they want to go get help, you're done. You're done. You're labeled as crazy and you're out.
Just because the mentality.
Just the mentality. Because the problem is, you got fucking shitty leadership that go home, or I had a first sergeant drink in his office before he went home. That's fucking unacceptable. But you're going to kick out the person that comes to you and is like, hey, first sergeant, I need some help. Oh, you're weak. Your ass needs to be out of the Army. You ain't ready for this. No, you're just a fucking piece of shit, because you think that it's okay to drink a six-pack before you go home. You're driving drunk. You're doing this. But no, this kid comes to you for a little bit of help. He just got back from war. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to have you on. We talked about some of these statistics before, but from a veteran suicide standpoint, but also you're dealing with a lot of police and first responders. What are the current stats, and what's the?
I read the other day that 2019, 189 law enforcement reportedly have killed themselves. 189 first responders have killed themselves. That's a lot of people. That's a lot. And the problem comes because everybody thinks as cops. If you do that or you think about that, you're unfit. Really? Take a fucking average person off the street and show them a 12-year-old that's hanging from a fucking ceiling fan and come talk to me. Come talk to me. Come show me a 15-year-old kid shot dead in the middle of the street and tell me that it don't affect you. Okay? Go to a hotel room where a woman's been butchered to death and there's blood everywhere and she looks like a fish at the fish market. Come tell me that don't bother you. Okay? Because if you ain't seen that, don't come tell me that I shouldn't go get help. Because we deal with the worst of the worst. As law enforcement, unfortunately, I can't come here and enjoy myself. There's nowhere I can go in the world where I can enjoy myself. I'm sure if I went to heaven, I'd probably have to have a Glock 19 to make myself feel better. You know what I'm saying? There's nowhere I can go. I couldn't even walk down Venice Beach and enjoy myself without worrying about, all right, Blake, find your exits. Who might try to rob you? I had a guy come up to me, a real nice guy, and was like, "Hey man, what kind of is that a Sony A7 III?" And the whole time I'm tucking it back. I'm about to punch this dude because I'm thinking he's about to rob me. So don't tell me that I shouldn't need to go get help because you don't know what I deal with on a daily basis. I don't see the best of the world. I'm called to deal with the worst of the worst. I would love to be called to go deal with somebody handing out flowers. That's a great call because she's bringing love. I got to go deal with the worst that my community has to offer. And that's the same with firefighters. That's the same with EMS. All these people have to go to these calls to where, where they're dealing with a 6-year-old girl with autism that her mom decided she didn't want to feed her no more and lock her in a room, and she starves to death on a bed and dies. Like, if you ain't seen a small child that has been starved to death and dead, don't come tell me that I don't need to go get help.
And you feel like that's coming from, that's just society.
I feel like that's
general,
society.
Right? Yeah.
And I feel like that's why first responders don't go get help.
And then what about veterans? So they're coming back. They're coming back into...
Veterans don't want to lose their guns.
That's their biggest
biggest thing. They don't want to lose their guns. They know that if they go see help, they're afraid they're going to lose their guns. And that's it. I'm tearing out. That's point blank. That's the truth of that shit.
And that's not, you don't feel like there's the mentality of their squad finding out or anyone else?
I feel like they're... So in my situation, I didn't reach out. I could have reached out to my family. I could have reached out to veteran friends. I could have reached out to people on my SWAT team. I didn't want to reach out to my family because I'm my family's protector. My wife and my son depend on me and to protect them at all costs. And I'll do that. Period. How can I go tell them, hey, I'm fucked up? I don't know. I feel weak. Because here I am supposed to protect them, and now they think they might feel like I'm weak. Same thing with my veteran friends. I don't want my veteran friends to feel like, oh man, we've been through the same thing you have. Why are you fucked up? But in reality, they're going through this. They're going through it. But in your mind, you're thinking, they might think that, oh well, we went through the same thing he did. We're not fucked up. I couldn't go to people on my team, on the police department, because I didn't want them to think I was crazy. I felt crazy. So I couldn't imagine reaching out to somebody else. And I think that's the problem. People need to understand that everybody feels this way. Nobody thinks you're crazy. I've had more support since I've come out with this after everything than I ever could even imagine. People are like, yo, dude, it's cool. We love you. Go get help. We don't think you're weak. Because how am I supposed to jump back in the fight if I can't even fight for myself no more? So for me to jump back in the fight, I had to get better. Whether it be physically or mentally, you have to be better to fight. And that's what I did. And I jumped right back in the fight. And here I am.
So what is your advice to veterans coming out
Go get help.
that either so that don't know where to go
I would say
or don't know where to start?
talk with friends. That would be my best thing is say, hey, look, reach out to your friends. Because somebody might be going through something similar that you're going through that you guys can work out. What I did is I reached out to a friend of mine that was he was in SF. Went through a lot of stuff. Still look at the dude like he's a dude is to my eyes he's a great dude. And I reached out to him. I knew he had been through some shit, and he said, "Hey man, I go to this bibliological therapy up on top of the hill." And then boom, that saved my life by me reaching out to a friend. And him giving me advice on who he sees and what it's really like. I never would have even known that he went and seen anybody, but I reached out to talk to him, and he gave me great advice. So, if me and you are veterans and we're friends, and I'm like, hey, dude, look, this is how I'm feeling. You might not ever want it to tell nobody because you don't want people to think you're crazy. But here I am coming to you, and you can relate with me, and you might be like, hey, Blake, I go see this therapist. You should check him out. If you went off to war, you're feeling the same. Everybody's feeling the same. So find that good friend and talk to them. Somebody will get you help. Hell, reach out to me. If you need somebody and you need to know where to go, or if you need advice, reach out to me. I will help you. Or if I can't help you, I'll find somebody to help you. Whether it's one person or whether it's 20,000 people, I'll quit my job as a police officer and I will help the next person. Whether it be one person or 20,000 people, I'll find you the help.
What do you say to, probably more common is, what do you say to the families or the friends that haven't been through the service, but see someone struggling, a family or friend that is a veteran? What's the best way to approach it?
So you're talking as a family member, like my wife, not understanding what I've been through. I would say probably don't try to relate because you can't relate. Try to be there. Try to be supportive. Try to be loving. Don't be confused, because, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I threw this on my wife. Like, you got to remember, every single day I woke up and painted a smile on my face. And one day I woke up and I was tired of painting a smile on my face, and all fucking shit hit the fan. And I threw this at her, and she didn't understand. I was like, hey, look, I got to go to San Diego. I got to go visit a friend in the grave. And to be honest with you, I never even really talked about it. I never talked about it. I didn't really talk to, she knew that he died, but I never talked like how close we were. I never talked about anything else, or I never really talked about how I felt. So to her, it was like, the fuck? Me and her, we met in 30 days. And day one, from 41 days, we got married. And we made a vow that we don't do anything without each other. We don't. I didn't go to my brother's bachelor party because we don't do anything without each other. And we have been, and that's how we do it. We've been successful for 8 years. So here I go, saying, hey, I'm flying to San Diego to this party city, and your ass ain't coming. You know what I'm saying? Period. So in her mind, it was a whole nother world. It was like so confusing. Yeah, it's so confusing. And to me, I'd have been like, well, shit, did you meet somebody else? Like, what the hell? Like, damn, I can't go, So to her, it was very hard for her. It was like, to the point to where it became anger. So, and we learned a lot from this. And I'll express this story because, I'll never be mad at her for that, because she had no idea. And once she found out, oh shit! Like one day I broke down and just cried to her. I was like, I went to the therapist, I had, the video that I sent you, I showed her that. And once that happened, she was there for me. She was loving. She was supportive. She told me every day that I was great.
But it still took you to open up those doors.
But it took me to open up those doors.
Yeah.
So let that be there, be supportive. Understand that they're going through something, but don't try to figure it out. You can't figure it out. That was the biggest thing. I think my wife was trying to figure everything out, but she had no fucking clue where to even start. So that was met with anger. You'll kill yourself trying to figure out what is going on. You're not going to figure it out. You can't open their head and pick their brain. Just be there for them. Show them support. Make sure they're okay. Try to make them happy. And they'll slowly start opening up to you. Try to find somebody that can relate to them. Hey, call one of their friends up. It's very easier for me to talk to a friend than talk to my wife. Why? Because I don't want my family to I'd rather my friend think I'm weak than my family to think I'm weak. So try to find a friend that can relate to them. Hey, Dan, Blake's not acting right. You think you can talk with him a little bit? Yeah, sure. So that's my thing is be patient. Patience is the key, because if you don't have patience, then you're going to have anger. And then anger met with somebody that's going through that is, well,
destructive.
It was very destructive for us. It was to the point to where my marriage was ended and I didn't even care.
Yeah.
I didn't even care because I didn't love myself. How can I love her anymore if I don't even love myself? And I apologize every day to her for that. Because eventually that person will get help. They'll get better. And then they'll realize what a mistake that was. So patience, be loving, don't try to relate.
Okay.
And patience.
So you go through this whole journey, you get yourself in order. Then you start helping other people, which continues to help yourself.
Yep.
Right. Along that path, receive the Purple Heart.
Yeah. So I got a Purple Heart after I got blown up. They gave it to me when I was in Afghanistan. They gave me that, which was cool.
Does that mean anything compared to what you're doing now?
Nah. So I'll tell you, that Purple Heart is just a Purple Heart. It's to me, yeah, I got hurt. I think that stuff should be, I got friends, man, that they don't have legs. That was another thing for me. And I hate that we're on the end of this now, but that was another thing to me was like, man, why the fuck are you complaining about your injury and your friends ain't got no legs? You know what I'm saying? They ain't got an arm. Like, how are you going to sit here and tell people about your IED and you're intact? But I talked to a buddy of mine that had his leg blown off, and he said, Blake, let me tell you something. I don't really have the mental aspect. It didn't really mentally affect me. This was more physical. I have a fucking sweet titanium leg, okay? But your wounds are way worse than mine. You can't have a sweet titanium brain, okay? You're mentally screwed up, okay? Mine happened so fast I don't even really remember anything. I just remember waking up and having my leg gone. But shit, the Army replaced me with this other leg right here. I ain't going to have a knee problem. I'll just have one knee problem for the rest of my life. You're going to have two. I'm only going to have one. I beat you there. He's like, but don't feel bad. He was like, go get your help. Tell your story. So that was really cool for me.
That's awesome, man.
I met a kid one time. We were leaving for Jamaica. We just went to work out one night late. Plane didn't leave till like 4 a.m. This kid walked up to me in the gym and said, hey, you're Blackbeard? I said, yeah, that's me. He's like, I heard you tell your story a little bit. Do you have a minute? I said, yeah. He's like, look, dude, I need to talk to you. I'm about to go out in my car and shoot myself. The Army's kicking me out. I got PTSD. I'm tired. I talked to that kid for 2 hours? 2 hours. His wife came to the gym. We called his wife. He got on an ambulance and went to the Cape Fear Valley to the red zone, which is where psychotic patients go. he got help. He ended up getting a divorce. Kind of overtook his marriage. I stayed in contact with him. I gave him the right directions to go. His wife was young. She was 19. She wasn't ready for it. I said, hey, man, look, if she ain't ready for it, you got to let her go. Take care of yourself. And he was only like 24. You know, that joker's in his second year of college in Ohio and is killing it. Killing it. And he was going to go out to his car that night and kill himself in the gym parking lot. And all it takes is I reach out to one person. I'm a stranger. I'm a nobody on Instagram that he reached out to. And I saved his life. He saved his life. I take that back. I take that statement back. He saved his life by reaching out for help.
I think it's a good place to end on, man.
Yep.
I just want to thank you for coming out and doing this, tell your story, because we're working on some things together. But I appreciate it. I think a lot of people get value out of it. This is deeper than we've gone on, any other podcast episode.
Yeah.
But I think it's, I think the reason I wanted to have you here and tell it is, it's such it's an epidemic, and people aren't getting the support that they need for all the reasons you talked about. But I think, even if we can help one person with this podcast, it's great. So where can people find you to learn more?
So you can look me up on Blackbeard on Instagram. It's Blackbeard __. It'll be on there. It's an open page. If you need me for anything, do not hesitate to shoot me. I'll get back to you. I check my inbox very frequently just for that. In case there's one person at that time, at that second that needs me, I'm there. I'll be there. So if you need that and you need advice, or if you're a brother, a family member, or a spouse, somebody, and you don't know what to do, reach out to me on there. I will get back to you. I'm telling you now, if it's bad enough and it's to the point where ain't nobody can reach through, I got no problem with coming to wherever you're at, and also with my wife, she can reach out. If you're a spouse and you don't understand what your husband's going through, reach out to me. I'll get my wife in contact with you, and she'll give you the best advice possible.
It's amazing, man. And there's no payments, there's no nothing.
No,
Just
nothing.
helping people.
I'll buy my own ticket. I'll buy my shit. I'll ride a bicycle to you if I got to, but we'll get there.
I love it.
We'll get
man.
there.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
I really appreciate it. All right, brother.